Your Creative Push, episode 80.
My more successful drawings, in my opinion, have been because everything has been coming from just the truth that happened in that instant.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Emily New. Emily is a humble illustrator currently wandering Brooklyn. She was featured in CMYK magazine as an up-and-coming illustrator once, and she thinks that was pretty cool. But these days, she has been hiding in small venues and drawing the musicians playing there in an attempt to grow roots in the artist community. She posts the drawings on Instagram under the name Narcolator, which is a meaningless, made-up word that she should probably change soon. And Emily... I'd have to disagree. I like the name.
You think so? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it does make you sound like a narcotics officer
yeah,
or
somebody
a
asked
drug
me,
enforcing superhero or something like that.
Yeah, somebody asked me if I was a narc, and I'm like, I don't have anything to narc on. Like, I'm sorry, I just made it up when I was 15, you know? Yeah, I should probably change it because of that, but I know when I'm looking for like accounts when I'm signing up for new stuff, I know nobody has the word narcolator, so I just go there.
Yeah, that's always a nice thing. It's good to be consistent over all social media. So
yeah.
So I reached out to you because I found you on Instagram, and I just loved how all of your art kind of had a very specific theme. Can you kind of just tell us a little bit about that and how you got started with that?
Well, it's like I do a lot of different kind of styles, and I only really put just the music live drawings on Instagram.
Right.
I just kind of decided that would be the focus on that, but those drawings they're these like water soluble ink sticks that I just kind of found. I was desperately looking for a way to bring color into my drawings while I was out in the music venues doing stuff, because if you look at the really, really early ones, they're all just like pen illustrations. I was getting kind of tired of that. So I found those things, and I've only been using them for a year, and they kind of have changed my life. So if you look at my other illustration work, that's more like traditional medium. That's like setting up the water jar and getting the really nice brushes out and like using acrylics and stuff. But I don't want to take that with me in a venue because you know the seats are small and it's dark and stuff, and I don't feel like spilling anything on any other people. So that's why those drawings look the way they do on Instagram. And the way I started live drawing like that, I had just moved to Brooklyn it's been a little over a year. I moved to Brooklyn literally January 1st, 2015. And I just decided I'm finally here and I want to stick around as long as I can. So I was like looking for something art related to do because that's my background. And I decided that there was this musician that I had like randomly discovered on MySpace years ago. And I decided, like, I'm going to go see if this guy is still around, and I'm going to go find him, and I'm going to go, like, find one of his shows. And I looked him up, and it was Farrell Foster, and I found that he was doing a show at the Mercury Lounge, so I decided, like, I'm going to go to the Mercury Lounge and just see the show, and I decided very randomly that I'm going to bring my sketchbook and just draw him and the other two artists. He was on the bill with the Horse-Eyed Men and Crushed Out. And so I just kind of hid in the back of the audience. There's like a bar like in the back of the audience. So I was just there sitting at the bar and just drawing. Somebody saw me drawing and we were just chatting, and he says, Farrell always plays at this place in Red Hook in Brooklyn called the Jalopy Theater and School of Music. So I went home, not really, it was just something to do. And there was never a plan to get started in this, but I just kind of put all the drawings on my Instagram and I just tagged the crap out of it. And it's just kind of like me saying like, hey, I saw you guys and I liked you. I liked what you did. Here, have this drawing. After getting that tip to go to the Jalopy, I decided to go see it. And I did the same thing. And I drew all the acts. There are 5 acts for Farrell's show every Wednesday. It's called Roots and Ruckus. And there are always 5 acts. There are no seats there. They're like church pews and stuff. And it's such a good show, and it focuses on like folk music, like old time kind of music. I just decided to draw all 5 acts, and I went home and I grammed everything again. And I realized that I really liked doing that because people find these images of the bands, and then like sometimes the band reposts them. You get replies back when you shout into the void like that. You hear somebody going like, "Oh, hey, that's cool. Thanks for the drawing." And when I put stuff on Instagram, I started getting likes from other bars. Soon after I started, the Sweet Aston bar in Astoria, Queens, they liked one of my drawings, and I went to their Instagram, and I saw that they do Music Mondays, and they play like pub music and more folk music, stuff that I really like. And I decided, if I keep getting feedback from venues like that, it's basically just giving me a bunch of cool venues for me to go to, and like the drawing just like leads me there. And that's basically where the idea came from. These days, it's just been the Jalopy because other parts of my life are like kicking up dust and stuff. But yeah,
I like that. I like how the drawings are kind of leading you around. It's cool. I don't know, there's something cool about that.
Yeah, because for me, just kind of drawing natural, it just is a natural thing. And so instead of me forcing my art and trying to make things out of that, like it's kind of like dowsing, dowsing with drawing.
I hear you. Do the artists ever see you in person, and do you ever like kind of communicate with them in person, or is it always kind of like this like online communication where like you kind of just sneakily draw their picture and then go on the internet and, like you said, kind of throw it out into the void like that?
Yeah. No, the best part about doing it is that I have been making like really awesome connections and friendships and just like interpersonal relationships. Like that's the biggest payoff for doing this. Just seeing great music all the time, that is like a huge thing too. I think just like showing up to the same place over and over again, just like repetitive showing up is what's been filling up my life with happiness lately. It's cool because I got the drawing is kind of like a calling card, and so people, they see me and maybe they've seen the Instagram. It's happened more than once. They're like, "Oh, they come up to me like after a show and they're like, "Oh, you're Narcolator." And I just think that's the coolest thing ever because they saw the artwork first before they saw me.
Sure.
So
that's really cool. It's cool to have an identity like that, and like you're like a reg there, like you're a regular like staple there. Do any of the musicians ever like expect anything from you? Like, have they ever like called you out or anything like that?
No, I've asked them. I was like, is this like weird for you? And they like having just a little extra, like a signal boost. It gives them just like that little bit more. And I'm not really making any money off of it, so it's not like I'm using them. It's just like I'm just being like a fan of them.
True.
Yeah. Every once in a while, they ask me if they can use the drawing or if they can buy the drawing. And like somebody asked me to, somebody interviewed one of the musicians there, and they did a quick search on the guy. His name is Ernie Vega, and they found my drawing of Ernie, and they just kind of sent out a request saying, "I found this drawing of yours. Can I use it?" And so everyone is just kind of helping each other just get their work out, Yeah,
and that's the cool thing about Instagram that I've found, and just the internet in general with artists. It seems very positive. It's like putting your stuff out there. It makes a lot of sense because you can make those connections. You can, just put yourself out there and get help from other people and also help other people. And you never really know kind of what journey it will lead you on and what opportunities it will lead to.
Yeah.
And that's why I really encourage people to put their stuff on. Like, for example, my roommate, he has this sketchbook and he's so talented, and he's actually like one of the reasons that I started the podcast, because I was like, you need to like, I don't know, start an Etsy shop or like he would draw these pictures of my wife and I like as our dogs. Like it's like all these like creative ideas that were so cool. And like, I'm like, you got to put this online. So what advice would you give to him to kind of like, or somebody like him, somebody that, keeps their, does sketches, maybe like they hide in the back of in the back of a venue or something like that, and they just keep it to themselves. What advice would you give to them to kind of put it out there?
honestly just keep showing up, pretty much just kind of being there regularly, for me, it's like the show is always on Wednesdays. It's always at 9. Just be there for the show. Sometimes I have to leave early or whatever, but it's like I'm just always there. And I think just the repetition of that, people will see you and they just approach you. I'm not a loud person. I'm actually pretty shy. Took me a while to actually start talking to people out there, and mostly that they've just kind of come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're the one who's doing that drawing. Let me see what you did this week." And
okay,
yeah, I'm sorry. It's like basically just keep doing it, but
right.
I guess the difference is like it's very focused. It's a very specific thing that's being repeated. You just have to find that one specific thing that is very sustainable. It's very sustainable for me to do this thing, and it's just had a lot of impact on my life, but it's something I would just do. It's something I would do naturally. I don't have to like hang on to a gimmick. Like before a couple of years ago, I was doing the Fun a Day project in Boston. Yeah, I was living in Boston for 10 years before I ended up moving to New York, and the Fun a Day project in Boston is like a bunch of people, they choose a project, and every day in January they do it. It's kind of like Inktober, but you get to pick your project. Like some people are like draw on a banana and then photograph that banana every day, or some people do like haiku a day or origami day. And I had decided to do a Queequeg a day, the harpoonist from Moby Dick. I just decided to do 31 images of him.
Wow.
And that was awesome. I really liked, and I really enjoyed doing that, but it's like, how long do I draw a Queequeg? That this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I think there's a difference between choosing a project like that and then choosing this other activity that it's just like so much more natural for me,
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then what about if you're for somebody who's scared to put it online, to like put it on Instagram, to start an Instagram account and kind of share their work like that? Would you have any advice for them?
Oh, why is he scared?
I don't know. I think it's just like more of a personal thing. He doesn't, it's just for him. It's just for his sketchbook,
Right.
I think a lot of people are like that. They like to do it, and that's fine. That's completely fine. The important thing is doing it, like you were saying. But then I think there is such a value in sharing it, because you never know, like we were saying, like the opportunities that can come up. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is.
I mean, there is a certain level of it. It's not 100% privacy because it's the internet, but there have been times where I draw something and then I post it on there, but maybe it's not for like everybody in the world to find. So I don't put any hashtags on it or whatever. And maybe I'll just say like, I'll take it down after a while. Or, if I put something out there and it doesn't really have big feedback, or, a lot of people, they see it and they just like don't care, whatever. I don't get the reaction that's all that great. Not that I've ever done anything controversial or anything but you can just quietly take it down because it didn't have a huge signal boost in the first place.
Sure.
But yeah, I think Instagram, it's like, if you want your photograph, if you don't want it to be found really easily, you can just, you can control the level that you are announcing it to the world. For me, I always try to give it as many hashtags as I can think up with. I actually have on my phone in my notes just a list, just like a paragraph that I can like just copy and paste into my Instagram. So it's if you look at all the hashtags, they're usually the first 5 are usually always the same, and it's because I'm just copying and pasting from that.
Yep. Yeah. I do that as well. It's just it's easier to do that, and
you don't have to remember what they were every time. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I do think that having artwork or having a project that is kind of about celebrating other people, I think people really respond to that in a way. It's not opportunistic. People know immediately if they're being like used or anything.
Sure. Yeah. And especially the way you kind of approach it. It's not like you like take a picture of them and like walk up to them like as soon as they get off stage and you're like, here, I did this for $20 or like, you know what I mean? It's not like and it's kind of like a gift that you're providing. It's like a service, you know what I mean? And then the artist can use that then, like, if they want, for the rest of their career, probably. I would assume that you'd be willing to let them use it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially at especially when I meet people through the Jalopy. I've just been very happy going there, having this as a weekly habit. It's almost like therapy to me,
Mm-hmm.
just being like, I don't have to think about anything in the world right now. I don't have to think about my job that I actually punch in. I can just like sit here and just draw what I see. It really is that I'm not like composing anything or trying to really, I don't have any agenda when I'm looking at the paper. It's just like, I see something on the stage and I'm going to draw it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think some of my weaker drawings have been because I am looking there. It's like, okay, this week I'm going to make this artist look this certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
that almost never works because I don't know if it's because they're just like moving around too much or whatever. But yeah, my more successful drawings, in my opinion, have been because everything has been coming from just the truth that happened in that instant. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
It makes a lot of sense, and it's like taking yourself out of the picture. It's like not having too much expectations and just enjoying it, like you said. Do you ever have moments where it's just hard to do, where either you don't want to show up or like you're like, I don't feel like drawing all 5 of these people? Like, do you ever have that?
Yeah, that definitely has happened. Yeah, that and sometimes like a friend has come with me or I see somebody like in the tavern next door or whatever. So I just be like, in the end, everything is about socializing pretty much. So
Mm-hmm.
I have just like skipped acts before and then come back later and picked up my drawing sticks again and gone at it. But yeah, everything is so casual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put any rules on me in that way because I feel like that would ruin the point of why I go out and I do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is the whole point, is to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can gain a lot of wisdom from what you do, where you just do it for the love of doing it, for the sake of doing it, and you don't really have too much expectation afterward.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, some people have come up to me and said, like, Emily, when are you gonna like make money off of this? Or there's got to be, how are we going to use this to get paid? Or like, are you making anything? And it's like, that's for this project, that's not the point. Maybe if I ever do something similar for somebody else, I will have approached that from a completely different perspective. So even if it is kind of like drawing on the spot for somebody,
Mm-hmm.
that would be very different. But I think the payoff for me is I get to say hello to my favorite musicians every week, and I get to experience new musicians. And sometimes if I stay at the after party, you can strike up conversation with that, because somebody's always like, go to that girl because she probably has a drawing of you. And so a lot of conversations I've had are not, I don't instigate them. It's usually other people approaching me, but I've received like download codes and just like a lot of good, really awesome trades, things that I probably would have spent money on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So when people ask me like, well, how are you making money? It's like, I'm not making like dollars or money, but I am getting back tangible stuff,
Right. And at the end of the day, I think that's the thing that people need to remember, that, you should be doing whatever creative passion that you're doing for the love of doing it, and you should be getting some value out of the actual just act of doing it. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't be worrying about the money aspect, because that's not everything. Money comes and goes, and if you're not looking for those opportunities, a lot of times they come. But the whole idea is just doing it for yourself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not worried about the money right now, because I feel like I just enjoy like throwing out seeds, like planting seeds, and then mm-hmm. maybe something big will come of it, but I'm not worried about it at all, because I know people who try to go at projects thinking like, I want this to really just make me a lot of money, or, I want this to get really big or whatever. And mm-hmm. I think it always has a different feel. You can always tell.
Absolutely. It's the wrong way to approach things, mm-hmm. to have that expectation. Because 99 times out of 100, you'll probably be disappointed.
Right.
It's really hard to make it that way. What would you say that art and creativity brings to your life?
Lately, the art has been giving me a life. Mm. I had this epiphany when I was still living in Boston, where I had been trying really, really hard. It was like 2008 or something. And I had this really awful, low-paying retail job. And I was trying to just like rewriting my resume, rewriting cover letters, just trying to get like design jobs, any kind of art-related job I could do. But it was like an awful economy at that. And plus I probably had a lack of true know-how on how to do it. And if after a while, it just felt like I was just beating a dead horse. And I decided like, I'm not going to try anymore. I was like, I think it was like depression, I was like, I'm just going to stop trying. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I realized like, I've been focusing so hard on designing the next postcard that was going to bring me success, or, redesigning my website for like the 8th time. It's like, I'm just like, it's not going anywhere. I'm not going to keep trying because that's insanity,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I decided like, I haven't really called my brothers. I haven't really hung out with friends or anything. And so I decided like, I'm just going to focus on family and friends now. And if art stuff comes up, which I had no hope that was happening. But when I started to I was just like talking with people, talking with my friends. Things actually started opening up at that point. Like somebody was like, oh, you're an artist and I happen to be talking to you. My daughter wants a Halloween costume and I don't want to buy one. And so it's like, so I started designing like the Halloween costume, and somebody out there was like, I have these prints for sale. I had made these, one of my friends online had made these screen prints. She's like, if you want them, I'll send them to you. And so I chimed in and said, how about we do an art trade? And so I was making artwork just incidentally because of that. And yeah, when I decided to start living for other people, that's where my artistic voice started coming from. And just the production came from that. It also helps because I don't really get artist block anymore, because I had a funny conversation with somebody about something and I was like, oh, that would make a really great image. So I realized I'm going to make art anyway. It's just a natural tendency. But if I work on my relationships, if I work on friendships, maybe it's not so artistic, but art seems to come from it anyway,
Absolutely. And one of the quotes that I live by is, be a person of value, to try to be a person of value to other people.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's kind of like how I live my life now. And the reason I'm doing the podcast is trying to provide value for other people and trying to help other people out. And then, so many opportunities come from that. But if you're not focused, kind of like you are with, just doing the art for the love of the art and doing it for other people to be able to share and connect with them, I think it's the way that every artist should really be living their artistic life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Yeah. And just you reaching out and saying, hey, you want to chat for an hour, like that was such an emotional boost for me. That was so great. It's like, wow,
good.
Well, this isn't really, I've only been doing it for a year, which kind of seems like a long time, but in the end, it's not really a long time. I haven't been doing this for very long. And,
right.
And yeah, I'm like talking to people, it just really snowballs on it. And
absolutely,
it's cool. Another thing about like living for others, my friend Katie, she likes to talk about service for other people. It comes from her relationship, like service. Having the value on your life comes from that service. And people, they define your value. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they can see it, they can pick up on it, and they can kind of incorporate that into their lives too.
They know the kind of value that comes from you. You don't have to try, you don't have to manipulate yourself or manipulate others to get that. I think that's great. And, it's just also going out and talking to a variety of people. It's hard being in a competitive art world because obviously that market it's super saturated. Like everybody, like a hiring person is looking in this really just super saturated environment, and everybody paints great, everybody draws great. But with relationships with other people, like it's not super saturated. So like you're the go-to person if they need like a poster design or like a funny cartoon. That's useful.
Absolutely. Emily, it's time for the final push. And this is where I ask you to reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of one of the listeners that you've already inspired today that's thinking, maybe I could do this too, or maybe I can go out there and do something similar, and give them your best advice and push them into action.
Okay. I actually wrote it down.
All right.
Yeah. I came prepared. I know how to work. Like a big realization for me is that your artwork is a lens and you concentrate other parts of your life through it. So in that way, when the world outside of your head is well cultivated, well tended to, your creative process and your world that's inside your head, it benefits from it. So I'm almost saying like make art by almost not making art, just like going out and socializing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea of it being a lens, and you're right. It should be kind of seamless with what your life actually is, and you can integrate both together, and like we've been talking about, you make connections and provide value with both your art and your life. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Emily, thank you so much for coming on the show today and for giving us that push.
Thanks for reaching out to me.
Of course.
I love your podcast.
Oh, thanks. And you can find Emily on her website, which is emilyillustrated.com. You can find her on Instagram and Tumblr as Narcolator. That's Narkolator. Is that right? Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And now everyone knows the truth. It means absolutely nothing.
It means nothing. And you can find all the links we talked about today at our show notes page at yourcreativepush.com/Emily New. And Emily, you're very talented, and I'm so happy that I found you. And you're what the show's all about. It's about just going out and doing it. And I love just the niche that you've kind of created for yourself. And I don't know, it's very inspirational. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Youngman. It's nice being seen as it's nice being seen as an artist. I don't have to really prove it anymore. It's like just rearranging your thoughts. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It works.
It works. Plant those seeds. I love it.
Yeah, plant the seeds.
All right. Thanks, Emily.
All right. Thanks, Youngman.
Huge thank you to Emily for coming on the show. Yeah, when we connected on Instagram and I saw her artwork, I was like, I actually said out loud, "Oh, cool." You can definitely tell the passion that she has for what she is drawing. And I love her idea of, planting seeds and not worrying about the end result of it. It's just kind of like living for other people. It's just going out and doing the thing that you love and doing it on a weekly basis. She has this thing that she does that she calls, therapy for herself. I think that you should find that thing that you can do on a daily or weekly basis. Do that art just solely for the love of doing it, and make sure you share it as well. If you can, try to employ her strategy of living for others. Be a person of value and see what you can do with your art to make other people's lives just a little bit brighter. I think if everybody did that, I think this world would be an awesome place to live in. So try it out. And be sure to check out her website, emilyillustrated.com. She has a lot of other different artwork. She doesn't only just do these sketches of musicians. So check that out, and definitely check out her Instagram account as well, Narcolator. When you do, it's like you can almost hear the music. She's really, really talented, and I love what she does. On tomorrow's show, we have Karan Bajaj.
My biggest suggestion is to start by building the muscle with vacations. And I think what I've seen, at least in the US, and I come from India, and maybe that's a little different, is what I've seen in the US is that people take physical vacations. So they leave their, I guess, comfortable life in New York to go to a beach in Hawaii, right? That's a physical vacation. You're changing an environment. But are you truly getting a break from your mind? Are you dissolving your mind completely in a vacation like that? And I think the answer is no, because what I feel is that challenging vacations, so those 10 days vacations in which you perhaps climb Kilimanjaro, or which is very easy, by the way, it's not like as inaccessible as it sounds, or you go to a 10-day silent meditation retreat, or you spend 10 days in an act of in an artist retreat creating things that are like completely dissimilar from both your physical and your emotional circumstances, that allow you to dissolve yourself, I guess, for a period of time. And then you come back and you start seeing the impact of that. then you start to kind of build that muscle, which then slowly translates from 10 months to a 3-month sabbatical to a year is how I suggest starting off.
Karan's a really cool guy who took a sabbatical from his job to go to travel from Europe to India for a year without possessions. And then he learned yoga and meditation in the Himalayas, and he has a new book coming out all about that journey. We had a really cool talk about that journey as well as meditation in general and how you can incorporate meditation into your life in a very short amount of time. You don't have to spend that much time doing it, and it might really help your creative processes out and your life as well. So definitely check that out tomorrow. But for today, hopefully you are inspired to go and get your work done. So go and get it done. Plant those seeds. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for getting your work done. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.